Welcome to the marketing trench. Woo! It's Friday.
You sound so excited right now.
I'm so full of life. I'm actually really excited to talk about today's topic, which is three campaigns that you can send right now to your database. So let's give some context for this. I was sitting down with an agent team about 4 weeks ago now, and they told me, "Hey, Dustin, we've done a really good job of building our database." I said, "Okay, how many people do you have in your database?" They said they have 2,400 people in their database, which I was like,
nice.
I'm blown. That's awesome. And then even more rad than that, they had their database segmented by buyers versus sellers, referrals. Like they had really done a lot of work with their database. But their problem was they were sitting there and they were thinking, man, we don't know what to do with this. And I thought, well, no problem. We talk about this kind of stuff all the time on the marketing trench. And so I went to our YouTube page. I was looking up our episodes and I found that we had not dedicated just like one solid episode to things you could do with your database right now. And so that's what today's episode is. Today is if you've done the hard work of getting a database, what can you do with it? Now, before we move any further, if you have not done the hard work of getting a database, you can go ahead and listen to previous episodes where we talk about tools you can use to build your database, how you should build your database, using the Pareto principle to think about your database, all the rest. But you need to get one. And I think the three of us would agree that at a high level, the number one rule of getting a CRM and building your database is don't overthink it. You know, if you're sitting here thinking, well, I've got 17 options and do I go like with the Cadillac option or do I go with the free one? Probably, well, you guys would say just if you're in Southern California and you've got member benefit through OCAR, what, just
Lion Desk.
Yeah.
Lion Desk and a good old-fashioned Google spreadsheet. So one of the steps we put in Zapier, for example, when we generate leads online is take the lead from Facebook, dump it into your CRM, dump it into a Google spreadsheet row.
Yep.
Just so you always have a living, breathing document that you can take and upload somewhere else. You can upload it to Facebook as a custom audience, whatever. The point being you have that database, that file sitting somewhere. One of my reps always says, I think we get caught up on, well, I don't want to say the wrong thing, or I don't want to sound dumb, or we do the opposite. We get overly excitable and we sound desperate. We come off as desperate.
Yep.
But one of my sales reps always says, if you're not marketing to your database, somebody else is. The point being, don't overthink this stuff. Don't get frozen or stuck in your tracks because you feel like you don't know what to say. Hopefully we take some of that burden off of your plate today, but don't get stuck in your tracks. Doing something is better than doing nothing at all.
Yep. So that's all we're going to say to people who don't yet have a database. That's all you get in this episode. The rest of the episode is for the responsible people.
Yeah, quite frankly, MailChimp is a great database. I mean, because that's your email, isn't it? Still free up to 2,000 contacts. If you're not using a database, all we're really talking about is having your clients or prospects in a place that you can send them emails, right?
Yeah.
Yep. That's it.
At its bare minimum. So it doesn't have to be something crazy or complicated. Not at all.
So you have a database, and now your problem is you're sitting there and you're looking at a blank screen with a cursor, and you're trying to figure out what to type. That is the problem we are going to solve today. So without further ado, one of the things that we're excited to reveal to you all today is our first ever marketing trench guide. This is where we poured our collective genius into helping you come up with some campaigns. And as you're going to see, they're totally mediocre because that is the sum of our collective genius. Scott wasn't involved, so it was just Ricardo and I. And it's going to be reflected in the final product.
That's hilarious.
All right, let's do this. Enough screwing around. So here we go. I'm going to move that block out of Scott's way. By the way, if you want to comment with some questions, we are keeping an eye on the chat, so we're happy to answer any questions you might have. 3 campaigns you can send to your database right now.
And why?
I think I want to, let's put some context to this.
Yeah.
So we had talked about, your database should be a top source of repeat and referral business. I think the goal when you're marketing to really anybody, your goal is to always build your know, like, and trust factor with the person. They say people do business with people they like. People that when you get a referral, you immediately like that person and you immediately trust that person because it was a referral from, a trusted source. The challenge when people are finding you online, Googling you online is I think, like we talked about last week in another episode, the challenge is that consumer is sitting in front of their phone or their desktop computer. They have 5 browser tabs open with you and 4 other agents. What is differentiating you? Like, why should they choose you above and beyond every single other agent that they're essentially interviewing for that same job to get the listing or to help them submit an offer on the house?
Yep.
So the goal of all the content that you create is to educate, inform, and create likability so that you do build or narrow that trust gap that exists between you and tomorrow's potential seller or tomorrow's potential buyer. So does Ricardo look the part? Does Ricardo talk the part? Does Ricardo know everything about the market above and beyond what Dustin and Scott, the other local realtors, know about that market? So I think today's consumer is smarter than we give them credit for. So when we say our blanket, the market is hot, don't miss out on this crazy seller's market, that's just like a cop out. That's just checking the box and throwing marketing at the wall to see what sticks.
Yep.
Or find out what your home is worth, get your instant complimentary market analysis today. Like, we're using realtor speak. We're not using language that the consumer knows and understands every day. I know what a comparative market analysis is because I've freaking sold the product for years. But, does the consumer know? No, they just want to know what their home is worth. But everyone is pitching the same thing. So, like, Mark suggested in the previous episode, find out what your home is worth and, 3 other secrets to, getting more on your home or whatever that you won't find anywhere else. Like, finding ways to get creative with your marketing, I think, is important. Don't just check a box because everyone else is doing it. If everyone else is doing it, I think you're drowning in a sea of sameness. Yes. And that's a horrible place to be.
I also think, consistency is a huge part of this, and I don't think you can over communicate. I think you said earlier, people are afraid. I don't want to overwhelm them. I don't want to bug them or annoy them. We get absolutely bombarded with stuff, with emails and texts and everything every day. We're not looking at it every day. So it's okay to send something once a week. You're not blowing people away. And a lot of times, the very fact that you're sending something, whether they look at it or not, or whether they screen it, at least you're present. And for a slight moment, they're like, oh, this person is sending me something of value. And it's not a sales, it's not a sales strategy. It's not necessarily an impulse buy, what we're doing. You're trying to earn trust so that when they do notice you, what's the old rule of advertising? It takes 3 times for somebody to notice something once. They have to notice it 3 times to even remember what it is. And then it's like exponentially more. And then eventually you're like, oh, you know what? I guess I do know somebody that keeps sending me stuff. And that's really the first time they've ever seen your stuff, but you've sent them 75 emails or text messages or whatever. And so it's important to not get caught up on that. And you're not, again, you're not closing them every time, but your consistency and the quality of the kind of information that you're putting out, that's another reason why we can use some of these tools. But I think it's important, and I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about this on the market update. Take somebody else's amazing market report and just put it in your own words, like make comments on it, right? Is that what we're
I would say don't take a lack of engagement as disinterest or that's a bad lead or whatever. Right. They're just busy and they're in a different state or different stage of their buying journey. So a lack of engagement right now doesn't mean I'm not interested. It just means I'm not interested right now.
Right.
But don't stop making those touches every quarter, every 6 months, every year.
A really, really good open rate is probably 20%, right? 15 to 20% is pretty good. If you get up above that, you're doing really, really well. But here's the thing. It's not the same 20% that are opening it every week.
Right.
They're different people, but you'll find the same open rate, and some of the people are the same, but some of the people aren't opening it, and then there's some new people. So when you send this stuff every week, they really open it. Let's talk about the market update. And what are we doing here?
So this is the first campaign that we're proposing to you, and we're calling it the market update campaign. So what is the market update campaign? Well, high level, you're a real estate agent. People want to know what the market's doing, right? So this would be a once a month email that gives you an opportunity to really flex your knowledge and tell some engaging stories to, about the people you're helping, and to really help other people who are reading your email to see themselves in the work that you're doing, right? So some topics you might want to cover in this campaign would be stuff like, what's the average sales price of a home in your farm? How much did homes in your farm appreciate over the last 6 months, 1 year? What does the demand look like? How fast are homes moving? Put a house on the market, sold in 6 days, right? Wow, that really communicates something powerful to people. What are some other trends you're seeing? Who's buying? Who's selling? Why? Right? Those are the kinds of things that you can include in an email like this. And the highest way to share all of this information, the best way to share all this information rapidly is to tell stories, because stories are a high throughput way of communicating information. You can pack a whole lot of stuff into a single sentence of a story, right? And also, you can help consumers understand where they fit relative to you with a good story. So, for example,
I want to see myself in this story. It makes it relatable, no?
right, exactly, right. So, if Ricardo, if you were emailing me, right, and you were doing a market update, you might say something like, "Hey, this past month I was able to help a family. They have one kid. They're about to have their second kid, and they're looking to move up into a home, right? And it's a hot market. It was really hard for them to sell their current home and find a new home, but here's how I was able to do that for them. All right, well, my wife and I have one kid. We're not pregnant with a second, but we're thinking about it. And so we're thinking about a move up home. And now I'm able to identify with the situation because we own a home, but we're thinking, all right, well, what's the next step home? That's probably a home right around 800,000-900,000 for us. And that's a really hot market. So if we were to put our house on the market, it would sell very quickly. And then we wanted to move into a house like that, would we be able to find one, right? And so you've checked a bunch of boxes just by telling that story. And it makes me think, okay, Ricardo's an agent that I want to keep in mind, even if I'm not maybe ready to reach out to him now, because he's working with people just like me. And to your point, that builds the know, like, and trust factors.
Yeah, one of the things that I really love, again, there's some really great tools out there. Altos Research, I think, is one of the better tools that can provide you with a complete breakdown of what the market is based on zip code. And what I've done, and I've had really, really good luck. I did a blog post one time, and I took an Altos Research report, and I took the graphs, and I basically, they have a description of what this graph means, and I just reworded it. But you tell a story about it. So if the story says, there's a ton of competition in this price range, and you or somebody in your office, had a home that they listed, and within 12 hours they had 24 offers, you tell that story around that graph to support it. So you don't really have to come up with this stuff on your own. You can just make comments. You can make comments, and you can tie it back into the things that you're seeing, right?
So we have a subscription to Altos Reports. So I'll have to look it up, but I can grab it and share it in the show notes. And then Dustin, why don't you read off the script that we included here in the guide that we're going to send them?
Yeah. So
I thought that was pretty good.
For those of you who are sitting in front of your computer saying, okay, I'd love to send this email, what does it sound like? Here's some. Hi, Ricardo. Just a quick note to update you on the housing market in your area. The market is hot. Prices in Mission Viejo have gone up, say, $25,000 or $250,000 in the past 12 months, right? And houses are receiving multiple offers within 4 days of being on the market. Now, Dustin and Jen wanted to sell their home, their starter home, and move up. They felt paralyzed. They wanted to sell, but they were afraid they wouldn't be able to find anything to buy. So I encouraged them to take it one step at a time. First, I ran a comparative market analysis so they had an idea of how much they'd net from the sale of their home. Next, I connected them with a lender I trusted so that they knew how much they could spend on their next home. That lender was Scott. After that, I advise them on some DIY and light contract work that they could do to improve their home. And finally, I kept them informed of homes coming onto the market that fit their price point and criteria. Within 6 weeks, Dustin and Jen had an offer accepted on their dream home and also had their starter home in escrow. So when you have the right person guiding you, it's easy to take each step with confidence. If you or someone you know is in this situation, let's talk.
That's
right?
money.
Right there. And that's it. And by the way, if you're thinking, man, I would really love, where can I get a copy of this? Ricardo, where can they get a copy of what we're reading right now?
That's awesome. I'll
post a comment.
I'll drop the link in the chat. But basically, this is a great template you can send to certain segments of your database. So the first thing I would do is you're not going to send, this one email to everyone in your database. Hopefully you're segmenting it based on, what area that person is looking in and, whatever other criteria, buyer, seller, what have you. But step one, segment your database, and then you can send this off as a broadcast email to those specific segments of your database. The second thing that I would do is keep in mind that this content can also be recreated as, like a customer case study or testimonial that you write up on your website. Or if you work hard enough to memorize this script to where you can read it or talk on camera, I think this actually makes a great, 60-second video. So now if we're talking about, sending BombBomb videos to your database, or if we're talking about creating a YouTube pre-roll ad, you have an awesome piece of content that hits for us what I consider to be all of the right check marks. Mm-hmm. We're creating a compelling narrative. We're sharing a customer case study so that the audience can find some level of relation with you. And you're demonstrating proof of success. You're saying, hey, I helped this homeowner. This homeowner was struggling because they got furloughed. They were struggling from unemployment. So we helped them save their house by downsizing into another house. We helped them keep their credit intact, and we helped them net $87,000 on the sale of their home while safely securing a new, smaller condo. Like, that's a compelling story. That's a compelling narrative. And you're getting people to self-identify. Hey, do you know anybody in a similar situation that might be able to help? Is that you, or do you know somebody else? That's I think the point that you're trying to get across.
Yeah, and video is never an either or. It's an and. Do video and text. So if you can give your database two options, let them choose. You're twice as likely for them to engage. They're either going to read it or they're going to watch it, but it's going to make it more interesting. So absolutely, yeah. And this doesn't even have to be a story. This doesn't even have to be your story. If you work in an office and you have office meetings, every Monday, and people are telling stories, and you're around the water cooler, it's okay to say, I was talking to an agent in my office and they had this story. And the reason why this is important is because we're seeing a lot of this, right? Yeah. This is something that we see all of the time. So it's just telling the stories. It doesn't have to be your story, but you can tell these stories because it's way better than just some boring old, hey, the market is hot. Call me if you or anyone you know wants to sell in the next 6 months. Thank you.
I think if you want to stand out in your marketplace as the authority real estate agent, you need to know your numbers, just in and out. You need to know your numbers better than the next guy. So the first thing you should do is study the numbers every morning for however long it takes you to study the numbers. Secondly is leveraging all of your recent sales and turning those into case studies. If you're not leveraging your recent sales, you're just going through the motions of, checking the marketing box. I did the thing. I think you're missing out on a really big opportunity here. And then to Scott's point, they don't need to be your sales. They can be your brokerages, your brokers. There's so many other success stories and, case studies that you can share. It's a super crazy market right now because there's not enough inventory. I think that's what makes this so much more powerful. You need to tell compelling stories of other people who are struggling and who are in a similar situation, but how you're the hero who helped them out of it.
And like Ricardo, like what you said, that you want to segment. So this is your email that you're sending to homeowners. But if you've got prospects or home buyers, the story is kind of the opposite. It's a success story about how there were all of these other offers, and we worked with them to negotiate, and we got our offer accepted.
Yeah.
That's super powerful in this market right now because buyers are just absolutely getting beat to death out there.
Yeah.
It's a jungle. I mean, it's tough.
And the old tactics of having the homeowner write a heartwarming letter, that's just not cutting it.
It's
Right.
still
Well, it would cut it if the homeowner wrote a heartwarming letter and then came in with an offer $100,000 above asking with all the contingencies waived. Yeah, that would totally work.
That's awesome.
exactly.
All right, let's move on to the next one.
Okay, so if you want to download these campaigns, by the way, we put together a PDF for you. You can go to marketingtrench.fm/3 campaigns. marketingtrench.fm/3 campaigns. All right, the next one. Campaign number 2. This is what we're calling the interstate shuffle. All right. And there's actually a really cool tool that we want to show you here. But at a high level, what this campaign is this is where you talk about people who are moving from state to state, right? So we've got pretty big differences right now between red states and blue states. And I hate to make it political, but honestly, the politics drive a whole lot of the operating ethic of the state, right? Whether it comes down to taxes, lot sizes, house sizes, the job market, like which states are attracting jobs and employers, which ones are.
It's not just that; it's this whole remote work, right?
Well, there's a lot of urban flight because the urban areas got locked down a lot harder on COVID than a lot of the more rural places, and people are just tired of it. And services aren't opening, and all the restaurants went out of business. Like especially California. California was a hard lockdown state. And there are people like almost every single day I see one of my friends talking about moving out of California. And it's happening a lot. There's a really, really good opportunity for California real estate agents to get in front of their database. But quite frankly, get in front of all of your past clients and say and do a wellness check, right? Hey, how did you survive? Did you do forbearance? What are you thinking? Are you going to stay in California? Our taxes are going.
I think one of the scripts that I shared, I forget where I heard it, but I shared on a episode with RedX was, how has COVID impacted the way you feel about your home? How has this whole thing impacted the way you feel about your home? And that just opens up all kinds of emotions, thoughts, and things, right?
Move up, move down, move out.
Yeah, we're actually thinking of getting out of the state. Now, what the consumer doesn't know that you, Scott, the agent, Dustin, the agent, the consumer doesn't know that you guys have a whole network of agents in another state that you can connect them to.
Yeah.
So don't assume that they know. Be a little more forthcoming and educate them on all of that. Hey, I don't just sell here. If you've had any thoughts of fleeing the state, I actually have a network of agents that I can connect you to. And I'd love to make an introduction.
The line I like to use is I have friends in the business that I like and that I know and trust, and I'd be happy to make an introduction. So don't use the word referral. I see so many professionals use that. I can refer you to somebody. Make an introduction to them. Referral is kind of industry jargon.
Say that line again, Scott.
It's just, I have a lot of friends in the industry. I'd be happy to introduce you to somebody that I know and trust.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I never thought about that, but referral does sound like passing the buck, whereas an introduction sounds like something that you're leveraging, right? It's like, hey, I would love an introduction. It gives me an opportunity. A referral is like, oh yeah, I can hand you off to somebody.
Yes, and it's much more personal, and it's just more natural language, and there you go. Yeah.
So let's talk about how this campaign might work for a second, okay? So some ideas. One is if you're in a state where people are leaving, like California, they're leaving California, they're going somewhere else, then one of the things you can do is to help people get a sense of what the opportunity is for leaving, right? So, for example, maybe you might want to showcase what the average price home is in your farm, right? So let's just say it's $850,000, right? And then you figure out where people are going to 2 or 3 places. Let's just say Florida, Texas, and Tennessee. Just name 3, right? All right. Well, what can they get going to popular destinations in Florida, Texas, and Tennessee for $850,000? Be like, hey, have you thought about selling this home for $850,000 and buying this mansion for $500,000, pocketing the rest for retirement, using it to buy a boat, right? Like, just start putting ideas in their head. Again, story plays a really powerful role here because you can help people to envision their future. That's what you want to do. You want to open people's eyes to possibility. You don't want to just pitch them like, hey, are you selling your home and getting the heck out of Dodge? No, it's like, hey, how might you upgrade your life with everything you have right now? Just live a higher quality life somewhere else.
So here's a really powerful strategy is take the feeder states, or the states that you know people are going to. On the West Coast, it's probably Arizona, Utah, again, Texas, even Florida and Tennessee. What if you went online and said, what would $400,000 buy you in these states? And then you just put a picture of a $400,000 house from Tennessee, $400,000 house from Arizona, $400,000 house from Texas, and just show them, use the power of images and really drive it home, because you can say it all you want, but how many people in California are going to sell their house and walk away with $400,000 in equity, right? You can go be clear, put 50% down or whatever in almost any percent.
I almost cry because we're looking in Costa Mesa and Tustin, and I cry when I look at what that gets us somewhere else.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, you could pretty much own a couple of states
and it's a great way to get listings too, right? Because basically what you're doing is if you're in a state that has people fleeing it, you're fishing for listings. And these people who you would potentially work with they're already looking, right? Like this, you're not going to necessarily cause somebody to look. They're probably thinking about it. They're probably already looking. What you want to do is you want to position yourself as somebody who gets it, right? Hey, I understand you're thinking about maybe upgrading your quality of life. And like Scott said, pictures are worth 1,000 words. So if you're able to side-by-side houses, right? Or you're able to side-by-side lot sizes, you can do a lot there. And it's like, oh yeah, this is actually something that's highly desirable.
So walk us through.
If I lived in Arizona or Texas, I would get a list of homeowners from a title company in California, and I would send them a mailer and say, this is how much you can buy a house for in Texas.
Right. Well, okay, so let's talk about that. So if you are in a state like Tennessee, Florida, or Texas, how can you maybe get a listing, right? Because maybe you can refer out to a listing agent in California who can give you a referral fee, but mostly land a buyer in your state. Yeah. Well, you can tell the story of your communities. And we've talked so many times on this podcast about being a community expert, being a mayor, right? Mayorism. Yeah. And if, one of the fears that people in places like California have when they think about leaving is, I have a really high quality of life. What are the seasons like in another state? What is the shopping and dining like? Like, what am I going to sacrifice? And if you can speak
alleviate
those fears.
State income tax. Powerful words in the English language today.
Show people what a quality of life might be in your state. We'll run through some scripts in a second, but you might be saying, okay, guys, this is totally awesome. I'm on board with this, but here's the thing. I don't know where to advertise. Well, Ricardo found a really amazing tool that I want to share with you here. Put it up on the screen. It's put out by Redfin. Don't hate, stop haters, just stop it. A good tool, knock it off. So here's the tool.
I love your disclosure.
And so let's assume that you all wanted to follow Scott to Austin, Texas. Makes sense. Scott's a sexy man. Like to live near a sexy man like Scott. All right. So you're thinking, okay, you're an agent maybe in Austin, Texas. Where are people coming from? Well, a lot of people are coming from the Bay Area in California. 27%, almost 28%. Next, LA. After that, Seattle. Chicago. That might surprise you. I don't know. How many people did you know were coming from Chicago? New York. Scott, it sounded like you were wanted to weigh in for a second.
No, I was surprised. Chicago was surprising to me. I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah, well, I bet that's surprising to a lot of people. So even if your competition might be running Google ads or any kind of advertising to people in California, they might be totally ignoring Chicago. They might be totally ignoring Seattle, right? That's 13%, almost 14% right there of the people coming to Austin are from those two areas. And you might be the only agent competing for that kind of ad, right? And it's the kind of person who's doing a search. Homes for sale in Austin, Texas, right? And you can own that, right? Targeting people in that area. Conversely, let's see. I think you can also do which one of these has shoot, I can't find it. One of them showed people leaving. I can't remember which one this is, but anyway, if you're trying to get a listing, let's assume, for example, that you're like, you know what, I want to compete for people who are, who are going to a place like Austin, and you live in the Bay Area. Well, you can see, hey, look, a lot of the people in the Bay Area are going to Austin, so I should take a look at, I should run ads advertising the lifestyle of Austin. Like, what would a Bay Area home get you if you were to sell it and capture that equity and move to Austin, right? Run those exact type of ads that Scott was talking about.
You could buy a cattle ranch on 100 acres for probably a condo right now.
and those ads are literally, this is what 600,000 can get you in insert area.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, that state income tax is a big thing in California. I mean, it's 9 to 13%. That's an instant double-digit raise in your income just by moving out of that state and going to a state that doesn't have state income tax. And yes, the property taxes are a little bit higher in those states. That's how they make it up. But Texas is still under 2%, and there's a ton of areas in California that, after Melrose and tax assessments, that are pretty close to over 2%. So that's not really an argument for me anymore. I mean, initially I thought that, but compared to what you're gaining by not paying the state income tax, and yeah, you're giving some things up. I mean, California really does have the most beautiful weather in the country, but I'll tell you what, the sun rises over the entire country. And nature is fantastic, but you could drive to a nice walk or a lake or a mountain or something if you want to.
That's awesome.
Unless you live in Austin and it's totally frozen over and the power's out. But we don't need to talk about that.
The last 100 years.
Oh my God.
It's because Scott showed up. He showed up and he's like, chaos, and then everything fell apart.
All right. So walk us through the campaign if we're fleeing the state, to target people who are trying to flee the state.
Yeah, so let me pull that back up real quick.
People are trying to get out of Dodge.
So what might that campaign sound like? All right. Here's an email if somebody is fleeing the state. Hey, Dustin, so you've heard people are fleeing the state for greener pastures, but is the grass really greener on the other side? Well, that depends on who you are. 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom homes in Orange County are selling for around $1.5 million. Here's what you could buy for $1.5 million in, now you name 3 states, right? Show a picture. Here's the price. Here's the city. Here's the state. So in other words, here's what you could buy for $1.5 million in Austin, Texas, right? This actually sells for only 500, 600, 700,000. Obviously, it's going to be a really impressive place, right? Probably more impressive than what they have in California. And you got the city and the state. Boise, Idaho, Knoxville, Tennessee, right? Nashville, Tennessee, wherever, right? And you got these homes. The important thing is you want to include pictures of the home that are highly desirable. It's like, wow, look, you could have this estate if you were to move. And then again, tell a story. Last month, Dustin and Jen told me they had recently retired and were looking to live in a state where their fixed income dollar would go further but where they could still enjoy a high quality of life. Well, I contacted my friend who's an agent in another state. I contacted my friend Ricardo Bueno from Coldwell Banker in Tennessee, who helped them find just the right place. Meanwhile, I was able to get my clients top dollar for their home by maybe, my concierge service or my 3D virtual tours in the time of COVID. Name 2 or 3 things, services you offer that really, help homes sell fast. If you know someone who's thinking of calling a new state home, I'd be happy to get your friends in top dollar for their home and introduce them to an agent who will guide them to their dream home in a new state.
Can you pull up that script on screen, Dustin?
Oh, I forgot I even had it. Sorry. There you go.
It's okay.
And if you have the opportunity, you say, and the best part of this story is they found the house that they loved and they were able to put 60% down with the equity that they have in their California home.
Yes, 100%. Okay, so let's assume that you're in a state that people are fleeing to. What might that script look like?
Actually, I want to comment on that real quick. I wouldn't go 1.1 to 1.1. I would try to go like half the price or 3/4 of the price, because the properties are going to be way nicer. They're going to be bigger. They're going to be a lot more square footage, more rooms. They're going to be beautiful. So go in there and show them something, probably 30%, a minimum of 30% below. And they're going to, especially moving out of California, they're going to be blown away with what they can buy for their dollar in another state.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think with this second campaign strategy, and again, you can be sending this stuff every single month, right? With this campaign strategy, you really just want to open people's eyes to the possibility of the quality of life that they could have somewhere else, where they're not paying the high taxes, where they're not having to compete against, insane offers, whatever. And I know the market's hot everywhere, but it's a different thing when you're in a competitive market, but you still get a single family home with a nice yard, versus you're in a competitive market and you've got $900,000 to spend and you can't get a condo in, in Westwood in LA because it's just that hot, right? It's like, it's a different thing.
Well, and here's the other thing about this marketing, and we kind of touched on this, but it's important enough that I want to reiterate. If I would send one of these out every single month and just pick a different state, and post different things, because what you're telling the consumer is not that I sell homes in Tennessee, but that all of these different states, and then they're going to start thinking, and guess what that email is going to be? You're going to get an email that says, wow, I've seen your emails. What can I buy in this state? Right?
Yep.
So when you're doing it, because if they look at it and they're like, well, I don't want to move to Nashville, but then next week you're doing Salt Lake City, and then next week you're doing Tempe, Arizona.
And it's just a casual reminder. Hey, don't forget, I have a lot of friends in the business. I'd be happy to introduce you to someone I know and trust.
Yep. I'm your go-to.
You're just reiterating that fact.
Okay, so let's talk about if you're in a state that people are moving to, right? So many of you are new here. So on behalf of my team and I, welcome to the great state of Tennessee. We're seeing amazing growth throughout the region. Even those of us who know the area well are constantly finding new destinations popping up. In fact, I've written a couple of articles about some great new destinations and developments in the area I think you should be aware of. Click here to read my article on shopping center, park, maybe an entertainment destination, or here to read my article on same thing. Dustin and Jen were relocating from Orange County, California. They were looking for an upgrade from their home in California, and they wanted something new with a contemporary feel. I knew just the place. I took them to development in Memphis, Tennessee, and showed them homes just like this. Boom, 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 right? Show photo, photo, photo. Yep. They immediately fell in love. I wrote up an offer, and they will be in escrow later this month. So if you know someone who has flirted with the idea of coming here, but needs a guide to show them the amazing possibilities that we have here in Tennessee, let me know. When they see all there is to love about this area, they'll fall in love too, right? So who's this email to? First of all, it's from an agent like you who is serving people who have recently relocated to the state, right? And you're just email blasting them because maybe you helped them buy that home. right? And you're just dealing with a lot of buyers, and you know that they have friends that are also asking them, hey, what's it like in Tennessee? I saw you recently moved. What do you think? And put yourself in the shoes of someone who recently moved and they're excited about it and they want to tell their friends, but they don't know what to say. They don't have the words. They're not so familiar with the area, so they know, to just rattle stuff off. An email like this is powerful because they can just go grab it, forward it on to their friend and be like, oh man, this place is awesome. Check out this email from my agent who helped me out. Like, you should really talk to them because they know what they're doing and they've got, like, check out some of these areas. It's just insane, right? That's sort of those are tools that you want to put in people's hands so that they can, spread the word on your behalf.
We're talking about email here, but with a little bit of effort, you could do an insane mailer. You can get title data with equity in another state and send a mailer to them with a link to your site talking about your city or your community, and that would just be amazingly powerful. It wouldn't be that difficult, and you could get a nice glossy postcard with homes in your area. That would also be a super powerful strategy.
And I can't get over the fact that these would read off really well as YouTube pre-roll ads or something.
Yes.
They're just quick, compelling stories.
Very much so. And it's so easy to target other geographic areas. Yeah, and you could just throw, get a video editor on Fiverr. Your B-roll is just, Ken Burns pictures of houses in the area while you're talking on the overlay. What does that cost you on Fiverr, Ricardo?
Almost nothing. Like less than $40.
Probably $40 to throw together something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, if you're like, well, I don't want to hire a videographer, that sounds expensive. You probably find out that actually there are the county often has tourist departments. The county has like a board of tourism or something like that, and they already have this B-roll. Oftentimes, like Vegas, for example, obviously Vegas would have this, but the Vegas Board of Tourism and Gaming and whatever else it is, they have the B-roll and they will give it to you, or they'll probably let you buy it for relatively cheap. Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you can reach out to a lot of these organizations that are already doing this work. Or you could take a look on Instagram and find someone who, you can do an area search on Instagram and see who's taking really beautiful photos in your area. Reach out to them and say, hey, do you have some photos that I can maybe just buy off of you? Or have you shot any video of the area? I'd love to make use of it. Right. So those are some easy ways to source stuff if you don't want to hire a videographer and try and come up with all this creative on your own. People are doing this creative. It's just a matter of finding these people.
Most places where you can buy images like Pond 5 or even 123 RF, they all have video stock video, and you can find drone footage of neighborhoods in almost any state, probably on there as well, and get it for a couple bucks.
So Ricardo, here's my situation. I would really love to get a hold of this guide, but I only have the ability to text. What can I do?
You're funny. It's on your screen. Swipe up to that last page. But if you guys want a copy of the guide, just text the word 3 campaigns, the number 3 campaigns to 949-386-2232. I'll post that in the comments.
Okay, great. Post in the comments. Yeah. So you can text it and sign up. So here's what we're doing is we're giving this guide away for free. It outlines everything we've just talked about. It has these scripts.
We actually have one more to go through.
Yeah, we have one more to go through. And if you want it, if you're already excited about it, that's how you get a hold of it. So Ricardo will post in the, here we go. Awesome. I'll put it up. There we go. Text that, get this guide. Let's dive into campaign number 3. Okay, so we've talked a lot about HomeBot, and if you're not familiar with HomeBot, there are episodes on it. We encourage you to go back and listen to the episodes. But HomeBot this campaign is fantastic because it's actually a set it and forget it campaign. So you can send out this initial email campaign that we're about to describe, and then once people sign up for HomeBot, HomeBot will automatically drip them every single month, and so you're staying top of mind in that way. And then if you combine that HomeBot drip with any one of the other 2 campaigns above, now you're talking to people twice a month, 24 times a year, you are guaranteed to be slowly adding trust asset value to their life. And, Ricardo set up a situation earlier that I thought was really a really fantastic way of putting it. He said, hey, keep in mind that your tab is open on their screen and 4 other agents' tabs are open out, boop, 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 and they can just click, between them. All right. I want to posit that if you are just starting to compete against those agents in that moment, you're in a world of hurt, right? Because it's really hard to differentiate yourself on a flip between tab basis. But if your tab is open because you've done all this work of talking to people ahead of time, it's really hard for the other 4 tabs to compete because you've built up this know, like, and trust factor. People feel like, there's all this value, all this momentum behind you and what you're bringing. And basically what they're doing when they got the other 4 tabs up is they're comparing what the other agents have to offer against what you have to offer. But there's no comparison in that situation. Why? Because websites done even really, really well are nimble and fast moving. They're not for building deep relationships. They can be like, sure, you can have people go to your website and dig deep, but at the point that you're like between tabs, that's not why you're there.
You have like 2 seconds.
Right. Exactly. So it's not a fair competition. Like if you've already done all the dripping work, you've already delivered all this value, they might have the other 4 agents tabs open. It's not a fair competition. You guys would agree with that?
Yep. 100%.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's talk about what the HomeBot campaign actually is. Okay. So what you want to focus on here is things like the fact that interest rates are at all-time lows. Scott, are they still at lows? I heard that they were jumping, but where are they at now?
That's so funny. Oh, yeah. So interest rates have gone all the way up to 3%.
Okay.
They're still lower than they've been in over, in 50 years. Yeah, they're moving a little bit. There's fears of inflation. I think they're unjustified fears. We think they're going to come back down. I would have Josh on here if you really wanted to dive into the market. But, that really is only relevant to refinances, because as a home buyer, if you're a first-time home buyer right now, there has never been a better time for you to buy. And there's never been a worse time for you to buy in terms of inventory. But as far as loans for cheap, when interest rates move and you hear these shock waves, a lot of it is for shock value. Even if the interest rates went up 0.5%, they're lower than they've been in decades. So so it's always in the mortgage industry, everybody's hair is on fire because interest rates went up 0.3%. But for when you're talking real estate, buying and selling, or selling, buying in another state, interest rates are still so phenomenally low that unless you have some sort of financial or family emergency, you're probably not going to touch that loan again for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So we've got these all-time low interest rates. The Biden administration is talking about maybe doing some sort of massive first-time home buyer tax credit. I think that's still under consideration.
That would be the worst thing they could possibly do.
Free money. We've got potential tax increases on the horizon. The market's likely to experience a lot of volatility as a result of all of this. So why HomeBot? Like, what does HomeBot do? Well, when you sign your clients up for HomeBot, or you send out an email to get them signed up and get them to sign themselves up on HomeBot, you're connecting them with a powerful tool that does monthly follow-ups, which inform them of really important information. Yeah, you get the kind of standard AI-driven, hey, here's what your home is worth. But you get a lot more than that. You can see, for example, if you were to refinance your home, how much you could save every month on your monthly mortgage. You get detailed information about what rents are looking like. So if you were to move out of your home and turn it into an investment property, how much could you rent it for on a monthly basis? Or if you wanted to Airbnb it, assuming that you can, what are Airbnb rates going for right now? Really, really good stuff. I get a HomeBot email. I've gotten a HomeBot email every single month for well over a year now. In fact, longer than that. I can't even remember. Whenever we had the CEO of HomeBot here to Lighthouse, I can't remember when it was, but that was maybe almost 2 years ago. I've been getting these HomeBot emails and I always read them, right? Because look, I'm very happy.
It's sticky.
It's totally sticky. Look, I'm happy where I am. I'm not necessarily thinking about moving right away, but man, I'm watching that home value increase right now. And I'm thinking, yeah, shoot, maybe I should sell. Maybe I should just grab this equity and try and swing into something, something else. I don't know.
I always say people check it the way they check their stock price or the way they check their checking account balance, because it's a full financial breakdown on everything I need to know about my home. What my value is currently worth, how much money if I would save if I consolidated my loans, how much could I save in interest if I made additional payments, principal payments every month. It even gives them, so your biggest challenge when you help somebody buy a house or sell a house, whether you're the lender who helped them finance it or the agent who helped them buy it, is that for the next 30 plus years, that homeowner is going to have a series of questions, undergo a series of life changes. We have baby number 2 on the way, and I'm tired of using the living room as the kids' playroom.
Yeah.
Or this cozy 2-bath condo was awesome, but I'm tired of hiding in the closet to do my Zoom calls. We really need a bigger space. They're thinking these things.
Yes.
What's beautiful, what sucks is that they're not always thinking to ask, Scott, the original agent who helped them buy the house, or Dustin, the original lender who helped them finance it. They're talking with their friends or their coworkers who say, "Oh my God, you should totally talk to my friend Susie. She just got her license." Right. What HomeBot does is one of the things I said before, your challenge is, if you're not marketing to your clients, somebody else always is. What HomeBot does is it positions you in front of that homeowner with highly, highly valuable information on their biggest investment month after month after month after month. Value, 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 value.
Well, and here's where HomeBot really kind of goes over the top. So if you're a real estate agent and you have a lender sponsor on your HomeBot, now all of your clients have access to buyer data, or to buyer prospecting tools. And they can search anywhere in the country and see what's going on over there, what the cost is, how long it's taking to get a house in escrow. They can start researching. I'll tell you, some of the most interesting parts of our HomeBot database is how many homeowners are also on the buyer side. And they're looking and they're searching for new homes, because the HomeBot side, the value side, is telling them how much equity they have in their home. So they're looking all over the country. They're looking for different places. They're all doing it in HomeBot. You can see it all in the activity feed. So you can actually go into your dashboard, sort by people that are doing both, and it has BombBomb built in.
And so
you can send a BombBomb video directly to. Super powerful.
And so the thing that I forgot to say to kind of close that off, or close the loop on that part, is that's your biggest challenge, right? What HomeBot does, and this is the beautiful part, is it gives them tailored scenarios for what is possible given today's current interest rates and their current equity position. Mm-hmm. So if your house is worth $1 million, Ricardo, and you have, a loan for $400,000, you have $600,000 worth of equity. Here's what you could do if you took a percentage of your equity and used it as a 30% down payment. You can afford to buy a new home worth up to $1.9 or $1.6 million. Your interest rate would be this, your monthly payment would be this. Or if you wanted to buy an investment property, here's what you could do. So it's spoon feeding the consumer tailored scenarios for what's possible given their current equity position and where they are in the marketplace right now. Remember, the consumer's already thinking these things. They just don't necessarily want to reach out because they don't want to be, like when you walk into a store, you're just looking around and somebody rushes you, right?
Right.
They're thinking these things. So why not deliver it to them in a sort of monthly automated report?
Yes.
And what's cracking me up is you're throwing around 1.1 so nonchalantly, like it's San Francisco. That's in Beverly Hills in any other state. As like you're buying half that, and you're
oh my God!
It's
just stop. All right, so read the script. Read the script to us before I get depressed.
So here's an example of an email campaign you could send. Hey, Dustin, you've been receiving my free wealth building tool, HomeBot. I imagine you looked at it and thought, my home is worth way more than this. Well, here's what you need to know. Buyers are seeing numbers just like this from Zillow and other platforms. Worse, real estate professionals are relying on tools like this to help them figure out your home's value as well. For a home like yours, technology is not enough. You need human expertise and storytelling to to inspire people to see your home's true value beyond the algorithm. So if you want an expert human valuation of your home, reply to this email and we'll take care of the rest. So Ricardo, do you want to set the table for where that email is valuable? For whom is that email valuable?
So what we generally do is we recommend dumping all of your past clients into HomeBot so that they're getting, it's part of your post-client experience. What am I doing to stay top of mind, stay relevant, and continue to deliver value? So we recommend uploading all of your past clients onto HomeBot. And then generally speaking, 30, 60 days after you've, not just your past clients, also your farm, if you're marketing or prospecting to a farm, it's a good idea to get your farm in there. So it's not only a past client relationship tool, it's also a prospecting tool for your farm.
Any homeowner,
any investor. It's a great tool to market to them. And again, continue to stay top of mind and deliver those value bombs every month. And then generally what we do is we recommend sending this campaign 30 to 60 days after they've received your first or second initial digest. Because the point is, hey, you know what? HomeBot sometimes gets the valuations wrong. Silly little bot. It's an automated bot. But for a home like yours, experience isn't enough. That's where I come in, experience and instinct of a local real estate professional. So if you want an expert human valuation of your home, reply to this email and we'll take care of the rest. I'm willing to bet if you upload a farm onto HomeBot, you'll get 1 or 3 CMA requests within the first 30 days. If you send this email as a follow-up, people love to see, I want an expert human valuation of your home. That's going to get you a couple of more engagements. HomeBot works exceedingly well. And I want to say the tool isn't the point. So don't take this to mean, I tried HomeBot on my own and it said the value is way off. The value isn't the point. The value is so not the point at all. I don't care if you're using HomeBot. I don't care if you're using HomeBeat by Cloud CMA, also great product. I don't care if you're using My List Report, does the same thing and you get list reports for free. Mm-hmm. The tool doesn't matter. What matters is a couple of things. Every homeowner out there today has a preconceived notion of what their home is worth. Where are they getting it from? Zillow, right? I don't want them to continue getting it from Zillow. So I want an automated way to stay top of mind, stay in their inbox, and deliver an item of value. This tool, whether it's HomeBot, HomeBeat, or My List Reports, gives you that excuse to deliver an item of value. And then the call to action is, hey, if you want an expert human evaluation of your home, reply to this email. We'll take care of the rest. Where HomeBot works great is it works great in those cookie cutter markets where all of the houses look alike, et cetera, like Irvine, right? Mm-hmm. Where it might not work great is in all the beach cities or areas where you have a bunch of custom builds. So HomeBot says the house is worth $2.5 million, but really it's worth 3.5. HomeBot doesn't know that you did a tear down on one side of the house and added 2 bedrooms and an additional 1,000 square feet of living space. Yeah. So what we do to try to preempt that is we turn off the auto valuation email that gets sent. And what we modify this email and we send this email instead. We say, hey, Scott, you're going to be receiving my free wealth building tool, HomeBot, My List Report, or HomeBeat. You might look at it and think, my home is worth way more than this.
Don't be alarmed.
Right. Don't be alarmed. Here's what you need to know. Buyers are seeing numbers just like this from Zillow and other platforms. And worse, real estate professionals are relying on tools like this to give them your home's value as well. But for a home like yours, technology isn't enough. You need human expertise and storytelling to inspire people to see your home's value beyond the algorithm. That's where I come in. If you want an expert human valuation of your home, reply to this email and we'll take care of the rest.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You're just kind of flipping the script a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. And Ricardo, do you have a sense of what a script might sound like if you're just trying to get your current database, the database you have right now, onto HomeBot? So if you want them to opt in, what might you send to that database?
So I had a good one, and it was something. I'm going to see if I can pull it up, because that's a very good question. It was something to the effect of, hey, Ricardo, the market's super crazy. The pandemic and the elections have, done whatever. The market is super crazy right now. I'm taking the time to send some of my favorite agents just like you, or some of my favorite people just like you, free home valuation report on their home. Normally, I only do this if somebody's thinking of selling their home, but I thought given the current market environment, it might be cool to get one even if you're not. Yeah. Would you like me to send you a home value update on your house? And would you like me to follow up with a free monthly report as well? Right? Something to that effect. You can send that as a text blast campaign. You can send that, as a DM to your leads or your contacts on Facebook, on Instagram. The point is just to kind of pique their curiosity, say, hey, you might not be in the market to sell right now, but the market's so crazy. I thought it might be valuable to get a copy of this report. And if you'd like, I can send one to you automatically every month. Just hit reply and let me know.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, it has been an hour, so we're at time. If any of you are listening, you want a copy of this campaign, you can get it absolutely for free. We put together this PDF guide for you as a giveaway. You can text the word 3 campaigns, the number 3 campaigns, to 949-386-2232. 949-386-2232, or you can go to marketingtrench.fm/3, the number 3 campaigns, and just sign up for the sign up there on the form that we have, and you'll get a confirmation email. Once you confirm, boom, the campaign will be sent right to your email box. You can download it directly from the link there and have it forever. Put it to use. Please do reach out. Looks like, Sheila, we see that Ricardo didn't build it right. Totally Ricardo's fault. We were so sorry.
That's awesome.
Did you hear the bus just hit you in the face?
Basically.
Yeah, we'll fix that. We're so sorry.
Sheila, I'll reach out to you and I'll double check with a few of you. I see your text coming through. But Joy, Ruth, Drake, Sheila, thank you all so much for being here. We appreciate your time. I'll follow up to make sure that campaigns hit your inbox. And then from there, you'll get regular updates on when we go live. I'd love to hear your feedback and see you guys take action on some of this stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
You'd like to see us pick apart and create swipe files for, let's hear it.
Yeah. Well, we have many more of these planned. So if we see a strong response to this, we're absolutely going to keep rolling these kinds of things out. We want to help you grow. We want to help you succeed. We've learned a lot of these lessons the hard way, and rather than you having to learn them the hard way too, let's go ahead and try and help you guys out. So that's where we're at. Hey, if you could do us a big favor watching on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe. You can catch all of our future videos. We do broadcast once a week on Fridays. And so, you can catch all of our videos. If you are thinking, okay, these campaigns sound great, I need to build my database. Good news. Go to marketingtrench.fm. You can check out our previous episodes where we talk about how to build a campaign, the sort of, segmenting your databases, all the rest, how to build a database, how to segment those databases, all the rest. It's all there. Plus lots of other ideas for how you can reach out to your database, marketingtrench.fm. Ricardo occasionally says interesting things. Ricardo, where do you say those interesting things?
Over at ricardobueno.com.
He has a weekly podcast in addition to this where he's got his weekly boost. It's really good stuff. It pains me to compliment Ricardo ever, especially live, but his podcast is really, really good. So check that out. You can check out what Scott is doing over at findmywayhome.com. You can check out my company, Lighthouse Escrow, at lighthouseescrow.com. And look, if you're in the Southern California area and you're wondering, hey, what's it going to cost me to either buy or sell a house? What are the closing costs going to look like? We have a free closing cost calculator right there on our website that you can use. No gimmicks, no forced download, nothing like that. Just go check it out. You can get a instant sort of estimate so that if you're an agent, you can provide that to your clients. If you're a buyer or seller, you can get a sense of what kind of cash you might walk away with if you sell your home. And then finally, we encourage you to check out our sister podcast over at Real Disrupt Podcast Collaborative. RealDisrupt.com is where you can find those. Really good shows for industry professionals, lenders, real estate agents, and the like. Nothing for escrow because nobody cares about us. All right, that's it. We're done. This has been fun. Until next week, this has been the Marketing Trench.